So this week in Sinking Python, we're looking at a BMI coding challenge. So what we're looking at is a BMI using the kilograms, and for the height, we're using meters. So the challenge is if we use height equals input, and then we have weight that equals input, then what we have is we have to figure out what is a BMI. Now I put my own example here. I use 1.83 for my height because I'm 6 feet, and I put 117 in kilograms, rounded up to the nearest whole number. So I think it was 117.388. So I rounded it to 117. So take a moment and see if you can figure this out. So I forgot to put meters in there. So we're looking for meters. Go ahead and Google this. You can Google your weight to transfer to kilograms, and Google your height and transfer to meters. You have all the information for this. Just think about it. You have to utilize data types and basic Python math. Right here, we're looking at that it's a floating number, 1.83. That's a float. That's not an integer. That's important. But you also have to think about what is an input. What kind of a data type does an input give? What kind of data type is this weight when I put the input in? The weight in kilograms is 117. That's a whole number. That's an integer. Okay, for ease of use, I went ahead and wrote this stuff down already. So you're not just sitting there watching me write it. So this is the solution to this problem. So let's look at what we got to do here. Let's look at weight first. So weight is an input, and that input is a string, if we remember that. Whatever we input is a string, but we can't do math with a string, so we're going to have to change it to an integer. So when we look at weight as an integer, we equal the int of weight. Okay, and you see that it's spelled right because it's highlighting weight here and weight there. And we're making that an integer. And we're saving that in a new variable using a descriptive naming convention, weight as int, using snake case. Now we have weight as float equals height as a float. Okay, so the height's an input, the input's a string. I spelled it right, so Thawny's highlighting both sides. So I know I'm good there. Now I'm going to make this a float. And I'm going to save it into a variable with a descriptive name such as height as float using snake case. Okay, so now we're going to use, rather than using the exponent, we're going to translate this to a multiplication utilizing PEMDAS. Parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Right? So the BMI equals weight as an integer divided by, if you notice, I've spelt it right because it's highlighting earlier. And the division side, when I hit height as float, it highlights the height as float from earlier. So that is a defined variable. And you also see it to the side because I'm multiplying it by each other. Since we're not using the exponent, we're going to multiply it by itself. And we're going to put it in parentheses so that it's done first. Multiply these two together. We then divide it by weight as a integer. And that will give us the BMI. Now, the important thing here is we want one as a whole number. And as a whole number, it'd be an integer. So let's change that BMI to an integer BMI. And we're going to set that into a BMI as integer. And then that will be what we actually print. Okay, so we'll print BMI as integer. If you notice, BMI down here and BMI up there is highlighted, so I actually spelled that right too. So that is what we're going to print. So that's a good rounded, for our BMI chart, a good rounded number. And so let's go ahead and see. We're going to use my numbers here so you get to see my BMI. Uh, so 1.83, and then kilograms of 117, 34. My BMI is 34. And that's the number I had wrote down before, so I didn't mess anything up in the process here. Now do these numbers so you can check and make sure that you come out with 34. And then after that, go ahead and do whatever number you want. Your number, anyone's number, whatever, just throw it away. Uh, you may not want to know what your BMI is, but yeah. But at least on this part, see if we did good on this coding challenge and we got a 34. Now you might not have done this part where the int of BMI, where it's a rounded whole number. So you might have 3.34 point something or 33 point something, somewhere around there. But that's close enough. If you got this equation right, that's the main thing. You understand data types, you understand order of operation, the basic math operations. So this should be pretty good challenge for you. Let's see where you're at. Thank you. Please like and subscribe, and feel free to share this.